Hey trainers, Alakaham here with some more Pokemon video magic, and today's video is going to be a little bit longer than usual because I've got an extra bonus battle in here and I'm doing some different things with the speeds. But the long and short of what's going on here is that I wanted to showcase the new Tapu Lele, which is not Tapu Lele, Tapu Koko, not Tapu Koko, Tapu Fini. Fini is the newest of the Alola deities that has been released, and it is fantastic in the Ultra League. So I invested quite a bit of time and energy to grab the candy necessary to power this thing up. I did a lucky trade to make sure that I could spare as many resources as possible, and then I set out to try this brand new Tapu Lele. So what you're seeing play in front of you right now is actually the very first battle that I played with Tapu Lele, where I just kind of threw together a team. And I had a very good lead against a Giratina altered there. And my opponent brings in a Swampert. I am not going to survive very long anyway, so I go for broke with this energy ball, and they try to call a bait. They let it through, and the energy ball one-shots that Shadow Swampert. And of course, now is the time for Tapu Lele, Tapu Fini to come in and shine. So we are going to more or less shield everything because we do not want to risk getting hit with a Brave Bird. I'm going to try and put some pressure on the opponent to see if I can get them to, panic a little bit, make a mistake if I can. Just throwing some charge moves to make sure that they're sure that I will throw them, and it's not going to be too difficult for Tapu Fini to actually farm down with Water Gun. So my opponent, of course, sees the writing on the wall and stops there. Meaning that they did not shield that final charge move. Of course, they could have survived the surf to one more waterfall or something, but that's fine. Okay, moving ahead. That was just the first battle that I did with Tapu Fini, and I thought it might be fun to share. Moving forward, the team that I actually built for this video is comprised of Tapu Fini with Mew, and I also have my shiny Ultra League Druddigon, which I am super excited to have built up. I still need to grab the candy to add an extra charge move, but it's pretty useful in its current state anyway. So I promised earlier that I would have a video where I featured the shiny Druddigon for Ultra League, and this is my fulfillment of that promise. Also, we have this cool water event going on, so that's why you see me doing things like catching Dewpider before diving into these battles. So, without any further ado, we are going to hop into this full set featuring Tapu Fini and shiny Ultra League Druddigon. Here we go. Picking up kind of a bad lead with Fini into Chestnut, and you don't see Chestnut in the Ultra League very much, so that was kind of interesting. And then my opponent brings in a Alolan Muck and Alolan Muck with Snarl, which is not great for me because they're going to outpace us. So what I do here is I farm up a lot of extra energy to fake maybe having like a Hyper Beam, and I do get the shield from my opponent. So at this point, all I want to do is chip damage and maybe fish for that boost that can come with Night Slash. Of course, you never get the boost when you really need the boost, which is unfortunate. And I don't know if this was the most big brain move or not, but for whatever reason, I decided to shield that attack, and they actually went for Sludge Wave, which is fairly inefficient compared to Dark Pulse. They did not need a Sludge Wave to take out the Druddigon. Druddigon is pretty glassy. So we actually win Switch, which was a very pleasant surprise for me there. And now they bring in a Gengar, and that's going to be problematic for them in some ways because they're going to have to shield up that Night Slash. So they're unshielded now, and I'm going to go ahead and bring in the Tapu Fini here, because Fini is not going to be worth much against the Chestnut unless I have a significant energy lead. So my opponent switches back into the Chestnut, and I realize now that this is a Smackdown Chestnut. So they were anticipating flyers. This person did not want to get caught off guard by like a Talonflame or whatever. So Chestnut is pretty cool, pretty spicy pick, and I'm going to throw this Flame Charge, and I know that I'm going to need some energy if I want to take out the Gengar. So I actually undercharged, hoping to get extra farm, but I undercharged by too much. I significantly underestimated the bulk of Chestnut in the Ultra League. But I think it's still okay, because even though we had to let the Mew go and we didn't get to, fire off that Psyshock against the Gengar is, it was fairly low. Gengar is very glassy, so we were able to farm up enough energy on Tapu Fini, which is great because this is a Fini showcase anyway. And Tapu Fini was able to get to that Surf and take out the Gengar, so we are able to take game 1 in the set. And also, as an FYI, I don't know that every YouTuber does this, but one of the things that I really pride myself on is putting together sets where you can see everything in the same set that's put together all in a row. So this isn't like a collection of my best battles. This is just one set, so you can see exactly how it went for me when I put together this team. Okay, we're picking up a very bad lead against a Cresselia in this next match, and Cresselia is going to be problematic because it has access to Grass Knot, and we know for sure that this one had Grass Knot because it showed it to us. But actually, Tapu Fini has some decent bulk. It's not like the most bulky Pokemon, but it's also not particularly glassy, so I knew that we could tank one Grass Knot. So we tanked one, counted up those fast moves, the Psycho Cuts, until they got to 6, and then swapped over to Druddigon to take the energy from that Grass Knot. My opponent swaps in a Giratina Altered, which is an okay response to Druddigon, but they're taking super effective damage as well, and of course I have access to Night Slash. So we lose Switch here, but we are able to almost take out the Giratina here. And Tapu Fini doesn't really have to worry about Dragon Claw or Ancient Power, so we're just going to come in and farm down here. I'm going to go ahead and go for a Moonblast, which, if it goes through, will do most of the remaining health on this Cresselia, and we do get the shield, which is great. And again, I'm going to... we got a second catch. Count to 6, go ahead and swap, tank the energy on the Mew, and hope that we are able to deal with whatever is in the back here. And it is a Walrein, and of course Walrein are everywhere right now. This is like the most meta Pokemon of the current Ultra League season. And Mew does okay here. It was good that we had shield advantage. I think we should be able to tank one Icicle Spear, so I don't know why I used that shield before. I don't think they were at an Earthquake yet, so that was probably a misplay on my part. Should have tanked the first one. But we are able to do quite a bit of damage just farming with Shadow Claw, especially after it's boosted by Flame Charge. And then we can throw the Psyshock with Stab. That's really good. My opponent is going to come back in with the Cresselia, and we are able to get to a Flame Charge before they can reach their Grass Knot charge move. So that's perfect. We can do quite a bit of damage with those Shadow Claws, and then go ahead and throw the Flame Charge just barely before they reach their charge move. So that worked out perfectly, and we were able to clinch that game. Okay, we're going to go ahead and jump into the next match here. Leading Tapu Fini the whole time, so we've got Fini on the lead, and hit a very bad counter in Electivire there. And we are, of course, going to safe swap into Druddigon. Once again, we get the counter swap of an Alolan Muck So I'm just going to kind of play it the same way and hope that we are able to get a shield and or farm down here. It's really important that we win switch because Tapu Fini wants absolutely nothing to do with that Electivire. Unfortunately, we don't get the shield in this particular game. So I'm just going to keep throwing Night Slash again with the intention of trying to get the boost, and unfortunately we do not get it. And for whatever reason, my opponent does not throw the Dark Pulse. They were absolutely at the Dark Pulse, so maybe they thought they needed to get to Sludge Wave, or they thought that they had more time to farm up, something like that. We do finally get the boost against the Electivire, and Electivire is pretty glassy anyway. Yeah, so we do a lot of damage before they go down. I do bring in the Mew. I'm going to farm up a little bit here because I figure they aren't going to throw right away. Most folks with Gengar farm up quite a bit before their first throw. They do block the move because Gengar is, again, excessively glassy. And now we are going to bring in Tapu Fini. I should not shield this, yeah, because even if it is a Shadow Ball is not going to one-shot, so whatever move they threw, we needed to be able to shield the second move. Alright, so yeah, successfully blocked the Shadow Ball there, which is good. I'm going to overfarm just a little bit to have some extra energy. And of course we want to go for Surf here, which is going to be neutral instead of Moonblast, which would be resisted because Gengar is part poison type. Now, I suspect that my opponent did not know how many water guns it takes to get to Surf or Moonblast, which I would not have known either. I have a terrible time counting water guns, just like I have a terrible time counting Dragon Breaths, and that worked in my favor because my opponent seemed to be farming up a little bit of extra energy, and I was able to reach that Surf. Again, Electivire is incredibly glassy, so even a resisted Surf was able to take it out in that match. Okay, coming up into a fairly neutral lead. So Tapu Fini can do super effective damage with Moonblast, but the likelihood of getting there is small, so going for Surfs is probably the best idea. The trouble with Surf Etched is that it farms up incredibly quickly, and it does have access to Leaf Blade. They revealed to us that they had Leaf Blade, and I suspected they did because most Surf Etched are running Leaf Blade in the Ultra League. So fortunately, we were able to make the catch, and as you saw, I safe swapped into Druddigon. This is not a mid-game matchup that we can win, but none of my Pokemon do just excessively well against Walrein, which is kind of silly because Walrein is everywhere, so I don't know why I was not better prepared for it with this team. And for whatever reason, I decided it was worthwhile to double shield there, maybe so that I could align the Mew with Surf Etched. But a lot of Surf Etched are also running Night Slash, so that would do super effective damage to Mew, which is not great. Now I'm out of shields, so really, the only strategy, like the only play that I have here is to try and get shields away from this Surf Etched, get it as low as I can, and hope that I can just farm down with Mew. Now my opponent brings in a Sir Punch-a-Lot, the old armored guy there, Escavalier. Fortunately, we were able to get the shield. Surf does neutral damage. Escavalier is not particularly good against Tapu Fini, but if they are running Mega Horn, that can do super effective damage to Psychic types, and yeah, they were running Mega Horn, so unfortunately they are able to take us out in that match. So, not quite able to clinch game number 4, but that's okay. We've got one more game to go in this set, and I have a good feeling that Tapu Fini will be able to pull out another strong showing here. Okay, once again, a match that would be somewhat neutral in terms of typing, except for Cresselia has access to Grass Knot, so we're going to count to 6 Psycho Cuts and then safe swap into Druddigon, and again we are able to catch the grass knot. This is why learning to count fast moves is really important, knowing how many you can is required before someone can throw a move, and trying to anticipate if they are going to throw immediately. So my opponent counter swaps into Blaziken, and Blaziken is not a particularly good counter to Druddigon. Of course, because Druddigon is so breakable, it definitely has to shield the moves that come off of the Blaziken. But its fast move with Dragon Tail are really going to be extremely oppressive to fighting types. So we are able to win switch there, which is great. I figured they were about to get to another Blaze Kick, so that's why I threw instead of trying to farm down and saving that energy. And then we are able to get the shield back by throwing that Night Slash at the Cresselia. This is a very good sign. So I come in with the Mew, and that is exactly what we needed, because Mew does not want anything to do with Snorlax, because Snorlax is going to be dealing super effective damage with that ghost type fast move, Lick. And in the meantime, Tapu Fini does not want anything to do with Cresselia, so we were effectively able to flip the match here. I go for the bait move with Surf. It would do neutral damage, but even neutral damage from Tapu Fini is pretty good, because Surf, of course, gets Stab, and it does an okay amount of damage, so if it's neutral, at least it's going to do a decent chunk against Snorlax. But we also get Stab on Fairy-type moves, so this Moonblast is going to do quite a bit of damage there. And I suspect that they will take us out. Nope, they decided to go ahead and swap into the Cresselia. So now we are in a tough spot. Fortunately, the Cresselia is out of... Ooh, nope. I thought they were out of energy, but clearly they had farmed up more than I thought they did, and we do have to tank a Moonblast, which is very bad. I suspect that the Snorlax already has a Body Slam loaded, so what we need to be able to do is get out of here with enough health to survive a Body Slam plus enough energy to throw against the Snorlax. And my opponent throws the Grass Knot, which is not great, so I'm going to go for broke here, and fortunately we win CMP, I guess, against the Snorlax. And I did make a mistake. I should not have thrown the Flame Charge in neutral circumstances when I'm not trying to get the boost. I should be throwing Psyshock, because that gets Stab, and it does quite a bit of neutral damage there, right? And it also gets boosted after I throw Flame Charge. So I almost gave it away there, but Mew was able to pull things out in the end, and we were able to navigate some very bad leads. Tapu Fini able to come back from a lot of difficult starts in these games. I have really, really enjoyed using Tapu Fini. I can understand why people are hyping it so much for the Ultra League. I am very sure it's going to be a mainstay of my Ultra League players from this point forward. And I hope you've enjoyed the showcase for this new Alola deity Pokemon. If you enjoyed the content, I would really, really appreciate if you gave a like on the video. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I would love for you to do that so that you can be a part of my little Pokemon Go YouTube community here. I would love to hear from you more in the comments. I, again, hope that you enjoyed the video, and I'll have some more content ready for you soon. Until next time, trainers.